We celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve 1980. And Uncle Andy, with his family, is at Grandma's house. My mom's house. Me and my kids, okay, and Jenny and her kids. And there is a commotion, because everybody was pretty little at that time, screaming, yelling, whatever. And we're sitting at the table, we're having a few glasses of wine, and Uncle Andy pops up and he goes, "You gotta make me a soccer goal." Now you have to understand Uncle Andy. He was a school teacher and he was coaching soccer for the little girls, his daughter, 8 years old, Janine. And so at that time, 30 years ago, 31 years ago, there were no soccer goals really all over the place like they are now. The high school had a soccer goal, one field. Maybe it was the combination field, football and soccer. And so he's starting to get frustrated because he's teaching these girls soccer, but there are no soccer goals for him to play on. He's using traffic cones as the soccer. And he goes to me. I says, what are you going to do with a soccer goal? He says, I need something I can take to the field, put up by myself, and teach these girls that kicking a ball in the goal is what this game is about. Finally, that's how you score. So I figured, well, he's just talking. Well, I'll forget about it, right? By that time, I didn't have anything except I was kind of bored. I didn't have any business at that time. I just had the snow removal. Anthony was just finishing up school. And so I forgot about it, And about 3 or 4 weeks go by, I'm sitting in my office one day, and maybe he was serious about that. So I call him up at school. He says, "Hey, about that soccer goal, I got a little time on my hand. You remember, I'm a welder, so I could put things together, and design them and whatever." And he says, "You have to understand something, Vinny." He says, it's not like it's got to be regular, because I'm asking him, what's the criteria? What size should the uprights be and the crossbar and all that? He says, it don't matter. I'm just teaching the girls. I'm just coaching the girls. And when we play, we usually play on a field that has the regulation. So he says, so does that mean that I could use like irrigation pipe like we used to have on the farm when we were farming? He says, oh, that would be terrific, right? But you have to understand something, he says. It has to fit in my Plymouth Horizon. And I got to take it to the field and put it up by myself. I can't have something that's 20 foot long, right? So I go, how big's a soccer goal? He says 8 foot high and 24 foot wide. I go, and you want me to put that in the Plymouth Horizon, right? He says, yeah, otherwise it's useless. Okay, hung up the phone. I call, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out something. So I take and I start making some scratch drawings, which you just saw on my archives board down there, the original. And I kind of put together 1 3/4 and 1.5 pipe that would telescope in each other. And I start figuring out how long these pieces had to be and how they would be held together. And I make this little scratch drawing. I call up a supplier of aluminum and buy aluminum for, I guess, $4 or $5 a pound. But anyway, I got this tubing, and I proceeded to cut it, chop it, and I told, actually, Anthony and Artie, our production vice president now, to come after school and weld up these aluminum pipes for me, because I wasn't proficient at welding aluminum, but they had learned it in school, and I was a steel welder. I could weld steel. Anyway, they came. I make this contraption. It took a couple of weeks until I got it. And I call Andy up on Friday night, and I says, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? He says, why? I said, I got a little present for you. Come over to the shop, and I'll show you. So he comes over. I set this thing up on the front lawn of my little shop there, and he sees it. Wow, that's tremendous. He says, but I can put that up in a couple of minutes too without no tools, and it weighs 55 pounds. And let's see if it fits in your Plymouth Horizon. So he backs up, he's with it, he's got the Plymouth. It's a little hatchback. You open the hatchback, and if you didn't have a space between the two seats, it wasn't going to happen. But I took all these pipes that I made just the right size so that we could slip them in, and they would fit between the two seats, and he can close the hatch, all the pieces. And how I did that is I didn't make anything. I think he could handle like 95 inches in there, and I just made shoes that would come off so that they could fit in there. So I accomplished it, and so he starts putting this thing up and down. Wow, this is terrific. This is unbelievable. So he takes it, and I had used bolts to put it together, okay, because I had nothing else to do it with. And so when it was laying on, as you put the pieces together, you laid it on the ground, and you went to pick up the one side, the other side wanted to go up with it, and you're 24 feet away, and he breaks the pipes because the torque was so much when you lift this side up, and that side's still on the ground. So he breaks it, and he comes to me the next week. He says, by the way, everybody is crazy about wanting to get one of these things, but I broke it. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, when I lifted up, when I put the bolts in it to hold the three cross pieces together, as I lifted it off the ground, I never thought about that. Two guys would do it, right? With two guys, you could do it. There wouldn't be no problem. But he was alone when he was putting this up, so I said, okay, bring it back to me. We'll think of something. So that night, I'm scheming to myself, and I'm going, I got to do this differently. Well, how can I make? When he lifts that up, that one should stay down on the ground. So if I slot the pipe so that the bolt will rotate in there, then that'll stay on the ground. He can pick this side up, set it, and then walk over and pick the up. And that was our patent, by the way. Nobody could use that system. So anybody that would make that, so we patented that. That was the patent that we did. And so then I used snap buttons so this way you wouldn't have to have any tools or anything like that. But that was the launching of the Kwik Goal. And why Kwik Goal? Because Anthony could put it up in 2.5 minutes ready for play. So hence when he went to a graphic artist to get a logo or a name, and then, the guy questioned, he said, well, I could really do this quick. Kwik Goal, okay? And that's how we launched the Kwik Goal company. He started to bring the one I fixed up for him to the fields, putting it up and down, showing people, using it with the girls, and every other coach wanted to get one. So he came to me one day and he says, hey, you gotta make me a couple of more of them. I got friends that want this and whatever. And so I did. I made him a couple of more. And then he come back the next week, he says, I could sell a lot of these things. So my remark to him was, well, if you can sell them, I can make them. And that's how we launched. We incorporated in January of 1981, got a name, got it approved with the state of New York, and absolutely did not know what we were doing.